Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpin, alongside Chris Palmer. Chris Palmer, how you doing, my brother?
Doing good, man. Welcome back to season 4. Maybe this is 4 years in now.
Ah, man, it's been so great these last 4 years, and I hope this year is our best season to date. We have a lot of great things in store for you the rest of the season. We have a lot of great guests lined up this year, and I'm so excited to be talking football with a lot of our guests this year. Um, Please, if you're watching this and you would like to be a part of our podcast, please hit us up on our Facebook page and tell us you want to come and tell us what week, and we will schedule you in. We love talking football with everybody, so please come on and join us this year.
That's right. We have a couple of weeks open. We have week 2 taken, week 4 is taken, week 7 is taken, and week 12 is taken.
Mhm.
Everything else is open, so please send either a message to myself, John, or just post into the group Let's Talk Football Podcast and say you want to talk. We're always active.
Yes, and as right now, Chris Palmer, the season is here.
It's a special feeling in the wind when it's right around the corner. We're recording on Wednesday, so it's tomorrow night.
Oh man, I no. We're recording a week in advance,
Oh, we
so
can. Yeah,
remember
you're right.
it's next Thursday. It's next Thursday, so we're a
Right.
little ahead of schedule. But
Well, that,
September is here. If you're watching this, you're getting ready for football, and we like your
that's
spirit.
right. That's right.
So, man, there's so much to talk about this upcoming season, the 2024 season. There's so much to look forward to, um, and we have a great slate of games for Week 1, and we're so excited to talk about some of them this episode. But before we get to any of that, let's go. We love to start off with our segment bold predictions. Chris Palmer, I know you love bold predictions, man. So I'm just
I
gonna have
love
you
making
start it
some
off,
bold
baby.
predictions, man.
Yeah, baby,
But I'll
start
tell
it
you.
off.
But I'll tell you, this year is hard to be bold about because of just how locked in both conferences are. When it comes to sheer competition on both sides in both conferences, I looked at it last year. The AFC was split by half a game throughout the entire side of the AFC conference. Everybody was split between half a game come week 10. It was the couple people that were already out, and everyone knows who they are on the AFC side. Everyone else was split by half a game. And then you look at the NFC side. They aren't far behind. They're a game split. So this season going in, especially now with teams picking up key pieces in the offseason. This offseason was a whirlwind. Couldn't keep up. So many moves were happening. So you almost, with how bold everyone was in reality, you can't be as bold going into the year. You don't know what's going to happen. So you almost want to take a step back. So I
Mhm.
really only have one bold prediction, well, two bold predictions, and one of them is a Super Bowl prediction. The first one, those are the only two I have for this year. The first one is I'm going to say the Broncos sneak their way into the wild card this year. Them
Ooh.
picking up Bo Nix is such an elevator to that team. He very well could lead them to a wild card situation. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a gauntlet for them. Again, the AFC is locked in. They have to play great out of the gate. If it takes him time to develop, it's not going to happen this year, point
Mhm.
blank. But he is the most prepared quarterback coming out of the draft. He could very well take a talented team coached by Sean Payton to the playoffs. And then my second one is my bold Super Bowl prediction as well.
Ooh.
Houston Texans will make their way to the Super Bowl this year.
But who do they face? Chris Palmer?
They face the Detroit Lions.
I
Now,
love it.
again, these are bold predictions. I understand how bold the idea of that is, but look at the elevation of those teams in just 1 year. And both of them drafted real well, picked up key players to strengthen their teams, and they're locked in, ready to go again.
Oh man! And so, for those who don't know, if they just don't know the team history, the Houston Texans have never been to a Super Bowl. They're one of a few handful of teams that have just never been to a Super Bowl. The Houston Texans have never even been to an AFC title game before. They've only made it to the divisional round. So CP is predicting that, and they'll surpass that. And the Detroit Lions have never made it to a Super Bowl as well. They're another one of those handful of teams that have never made it. And last year, it was the first time since 1992 that they made an NFC title game. So it is very bold because it's going to be two fresh teams in a Super Bowl, and one of them will come out a champion. So I love it, CP. So wait, who wins that matchup?
You can't ask me that right
I'm asking you that right now.
now. You can't.
I'm putting you that on
No.
the spot right now, baby.
No. I'm not going on the spot and answering that question. You got to wait till the end of the season. That
Okay, fine. We'll wait till February when that actually happens.
We'll see.
You know what's funny too is like, if you've been watching the show, is there are some things, Paul and I were just flat wrong about, right? We're flat wrong.
Totally.
But then there are some things we just call from a mile away. And God, what was it, last year? We both said KC and the 49ers. And
yes, we did. And we were
yeah.
both sour at the fact that they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And we're like, man, we both thought that if you were going to tell me that the Lions were going to play the Niners and the Chiefs were going to play the Ravens, I was like, I could be right, but I'd rather be so wrong. I'd rather just be so wrong. It's so good. CP, I really love those bold predictions, man. I think that's some really good stuff right there. I'll hit you with mine.
Go ahead.
I have two bold predictions, and then I'll give you my Super Bowl pick. I think this is the year Tyreek Hill gets 2,000 yards in a season. Now, that doesn't sound very bold.
Did you say that last year, too?
Not last year. I said, no, Justin Jefferson was going to get 2K, and Nick Chubb was going to run for 2K. And I was dead wrong on both of those.
On both of those. Well, unfortunate for Nick Chubb.
Yes. But no wide receiver in NFL history has gained has received over 2,000 yards. So this would be the first time ever that a receiver gets 2,000 yards. And I think Tyreek Hill breaks that this year. I think he does get that and becomes that wide receiver where it's like, I mean, he's already one of the best. It's hard to say he's not, but I think this just cements his legacy because even after him leaving the Chiefs, he was still a phenomenal player, no drop off, and like he is like that core to that Miami offense, man. So I think he breaks it. And then my second bold prediction is I think this is the year.
Oh, don't say it.
I think this is the year Mike Tomlin goes sub 500. I think he'll go 8-9 this year, and I hope I'm wrong. But
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
There's just still, for me, so many question marks in regards to the Steelers' offense. And to me, that makes me trepidatious for them going this year, especially because you and I we were talking off air. We ran through that schedule again. That back half is a gauntlet for the Steelers. And if their offense is not right and clicking by that point in time, it is going to be extremely hard. But CP, I'll pass the torch to you real quick.
Whoever makes the schedule took the 16,500 or more seasons fucking personally, and they were like, try this one on for size, and gave us probably one of the hardest post-bye week seasons I have ever seen given to the team.
It's like Washington, Browns, Bengals, Ravens,
right.
Chiefs, Eagles, Bengals,
go back to
Ravens
the
again.
Chiefs for a second.
Yeah.
Go back to the Chiefs for a second.
Mm-hmm.
In Arrowhead on Christmas Day.
Amazing.
And then it's the Eagles, and then we finish with the Bengals again. So the front end, if we don't come out on fire, we're screwed. We're totally screwed.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though, is like I think that this is going to be the year. And you know what it is? It's like it's not even going to be a stain on Tomlin if he has a losing season. Because this would be his first in, 16 years 17, or so? 17
This would be
years?
Year 17.
Yeah, so I don't think
he was just extended, so he's not going anywhere.
Exactly. So it's like I think the streak will be broken, but I don't think it will ever stain the man's legacy.
No, I saw today that Russell Wilson was named QB1 to start the season.
Nice. We
Um,
kind of saw this.
kind of saw that one coming. Um, I'm not against it. You know, he's a former Super Bowl, veteran.
Hmm.
Fine, go. I do not expect him to play the full season. But the Steelers were very open this offseason about saying they were going to run a QB guy by committee type situation where they were
Hmm.
going to format Justin Fields into the playbook to get him his looks. So whether that be a package where he is set a quarterback that we see thrown in there, that
Hmm.
remains to be seen. I feel Arthur Smith is a good enough offensive coordinator where he could create a playbook that will incorporate both quarterbacks to their highest abilities that they can perform and win games. Because, again, at the end of the day, that's the most important part. But that back half of the season, it makes your stomach hurt.
It makes my stomach hurt, and I'm not even a Steelers fan.
It makes your stomach hurt looking at it. It's like just Titan fight after Titan fight after Titan fight. And it's like this fact that every single divisional game is after a bye week and they're one after the next repetitive is out of this world. I would not be surprised if this was his first negative year. I even said that last year I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They're capable of winning these games,
Hmm.
but the attrition part of this game is going to take full effect after Philadelphia.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, 100%.
After Philadelphia, you're going to see it. That's when the injuries are going to hit. The people are going to be playing hurt. You're going to see fatigue hit immediately after Philly.
Yeah. I mean,
And it's
I
going
would
to be
say
gear
after the
up and
second
wait.
Browns game, that second Browns matchup, because you play the Browns 2 out of 3 weeks. It goes Browns, Bengals, Browns for you, which is
I'm
crazy.
pretty sure that's after Washington and Philly, though.
It's after Washington, us, and then no, after Washington, Philly, yeah, Browns,
Yeah, it's
Bengals, Browns,
Washington,
yeah,
Philly, Browns, Bengals, Browns.
yeah.
Great Kansas City, Ravens, Bengals.
It's absolutely disgusting. So I'm sorry, CP. That's my bold. Those are my two bold
Fine.
predictions. And
And go ahead, give me the Super Bowl.
okay, NFC. I'll start with the NFC. I'm picking the Green Bay Packers.
I love it.
I think that they have made some very cunning moves to bolster their roster, both offensively in personnel and defensively in coaching. And I think that they make significant steps into be making a Super Bowl appearance. I don't think they'll win it, but I think they'll at least make it there. And I think Jordan Love, I think he is special. Um, Josh Jacobs, absolute titan of a running back, an absolute titan. And for him to go to the Packers, and to me, I think one thing that is often forgot about since last season is how close the Packers were to beating the 49ers in that divisional round. They had control of the game for 3 quarters,
3 and 80% of the game.
and it only took a couple plays. It flipped the script back into San Fran's favor. But for them to go toe to toe, first off, and the week prior, you stuff out Dallas, absolutely stuff
Right.
out Dallas, and then you bring it toe to toe against the 49ers. I think they have.
They
I
found the formula.
I think they know what works, and I think
I
that they're
love
going
it.
to stick with Love, and I think they're going to do it. So that's the NFC. Green Bay Packers versus
You think the three-peat's going to happen?
no, but I do think the Chiefs make it to the AFC title game.
Right, they're the guardians of the AFC at the moment.
Yes, I don't think that they will not be denied their appearance and their rightful. They have earned every right of it, and they'll prove that they're going to earn it this year. But I think it's the Ravens' time this year. And I wasn't sold on them the last couple of years. And I know that's not surprising, that's not bold, or that's not new. Coming from, I get it. I get it.
All right.
But just much like with the Packers, the personnel that we added and the coaching that we did lose a lot, some coordinators Mike McDonald, our defensive coordinator, he is now the head coach in Seattle.
Rest in peace, your defensive coordinator.
Yes, I was just about to say our defensive lines coach. He recently passed away at the age of 70. Um, so, but we still have John Harbaugh. We still have Rowe. We still have Marlon. I like Nate the Great. I like Kyle Hamilton. There's just so much to like, and I think that we have the personnel to do it. And it all depends on Lamar. We will go as far as he takes us, and I think he can take us to a Super Bowl win. And I know that's not bold of me, but that's what I'm going with.
No, again, it's bold simply because of how competitive the AFC is. I'm not saying you guys aren't Super Bowl contending team.
Mm-hmm.
I will not say you guys absolutely should contend for a Super Bowl. But to piggyback off of what you said, it's going to come down to Lamar.
Yes.
Everyone knows in the regular season, he wins 80% of his games. You know who else has a high win rate in the regular season? Dak Prescott. And what happens to Dak Prescott come the postseason? He goes ice. I'm not going to say he goes ice cold. The team still plays. He goes ice cold. It's more comparing apples to oranges when it comes to sheer athletic ability. Lamar is leagues above Dak. I will say that every day. I'm not a fan of Dak. Not a fan of the Cowboys. I've loved Lamar since he was drafted. When it comes to Lamar in the postseason, he needs to learn how to lock in and not get too emotional. Mm-hmm. This is the year that there is absolutely 100% no excuse for the Ravens, especially now because you picked up Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. You picked up a 30-touch running back to go behind an MVP quarterback. And you have a top 10 defense, and you have a top 5 receiving corps. You also have one of the nastiest offensive lines I've seen in years. Mm-hmm. So, in every which way and form, you guys should absolutely be full steam ahead for the Super Bowl. But it remains to be seen if Lamar got through that mental barrier he set for himself come time for one where there's no next week. So that's the major concern that I've had since last year when it comes to him is can he get through that mental wall? Mm-hmm. And I hope with the captain mentality that Derrick Henry comes into from being an 8-year captain in Tennessee, and he's someone you can get behind. Maybe Lamar takes a step back from his frontman captainship and lets Derrick Henry run the ship and see how it molds itself into what could really be lethal.
I hope, man, and that's why there's part of me that does believe that. There's part of me that does believe that Derrick Henry
part of me believes it too.
that Derrick Henry will embody the philosophy of what it means to play like a Raven.
He is like a Raven.
Exactly.
Because he's from Alabama.
He is an absolute. He's going to be such a difference maker for us. But obviously, again, it's all going to ride on Lamar, and I have the utmost confidence in Lamar that he can and will do it this year. So that is my unsurprising Super Bowl pick.
Well, it's good to be loyal to your team.
Of course. Now, part of me also thinks that because no team in NFL history has ever three-peated before.
And right, it's going to be incredibly hard for the Chiefs to three-peat.
They're not only fighting against every team in the AFC, and obviously the best of the NFC, but just history. And I think that is a steep uphill battle to climb. But I think the Chiefs have a capability to do that too. So I wouldn't.
Right.
A part of me was thinking Chiefs, but I'm like, it's very hard to say. And I mean, if they do it, then God bless them, man.
More power to you. But
we'll talk about that when that comes. But that'll be. Right. Until then, I gotta believe, baby. I gotta believe.
Hey, we'll believe. We'll see what happens.
We gotta believe, baby. So that is our bowl predictions and our Super Bowl picks, kind of all intertwined. I like it a lot.
Good.
But Chris Palmer, are you ready to talk some games for week 1?
It's been a while, but let's do it.
Let's do it, baby. Let's start. Not in America. Let's go south. Let's go
We'll go South
way
America.
south. We're going to go to Friday, September 6th, the first NFL game ever in Brazil. The Packers versus the Eagles. So Chris Palmer, I'll start you off and be like, tell me, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, first of all, the setting is very interesting. Because going into this game, neither team was allowed to wear their main color, green. Let's get that one out of the way real quick. They were not allowed to wear the color green because the owners of the stadium that they're playing in have a rival with a green color of their specific sport. I believe it's soccer that they're
Yes.
playing on. So they're
Mhm.
playing at a soccer field.
Mhm.
And their main rival is a green color, and they banned the color from the stadium.
I've never seen levels of petty that much, but I love it.
Never in my life have I seen a division run so deep. So as the schedule makers, how do you decide to put the two green teams in South America to play in the stadium where it's banned in green? So you mean to tell me the Eagles are going to have to wear their cotton candy yellow and their sky blue uniforms? And the Packers are going to have to wear their rust brown helmets and their dark blue with the yellow patch in the middle?
I actually looked into this, and it's like they will allow them to wear their colors. So
Will they?
they will,
Okay.
yes. Like the NFL made sure to be like, hey, we can't allow them to wear
But
but
we can't wear
alternative
that
jerseys.
garbage for the first game of the year. We're gonna watch them play garbage.
So bad, bro.
Oh my god! But going into this game, this is going to be the first test of the Packers. Everyone knows what the Eagles are capable of, but this is a new Eagles team on the same coin. They no longer have Jason Kelce, so this is a totally different Eagles team. But we know their firepower. They have one punch knockout power. They can drive you down the field. They can run you out for 4 quarters. But the Packers are right there. They've gone 3 for 3 as a franchise when it comes to franchise quarterbacks
I know. In a span of what, 30 years?
in a span of 30 years. So gear up. This is the Jordan Love era of Green Bay, and they're going to be habitual contenders year in and year out, yet again. um, But I love this game going, and I think this is a great test for the Packers to go into a habitual contender, and they will try and prove themselves that they will be habitual contenders for years to come. Um, for the Eagles, Saquon debut, that's going to help the Eagles immensely when it comes to the variety of their playbook. They officially have a 30-touch running back running behind Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts can actually become the quarterback that he was, and he can fucking set his feet and he can throw the ball. He doesn't have to run for his life anymore. He doesn't have to put his head in front when it comes to the tush push. Everyone knows Jason Kelce took 98% of it, but he doesn't have to do that all the time anymore because he has a north-south runner who can touch the ball 25 times a game and it'll be okay.
Man, what a game to bring to Brazil, right? What a game! First off, I don't know how this NFL again with the schedule makers, where it's like, how do you not do your homework in advance of like this stadium and their loathing for the color green? But I mean, so be it. This is like you said, this is going to be a great test for the Packers, but this is also going to be a great test for the Eagles because last we saw of the Eagles, they were pretty bad because their
They kind of shit
defense,
the bed of the year.
they were 1-8 to close off the year, and that one win was against the Giants, against Tommy Cutlets, and so they really, really regressed defensively as the season went on. I
And they
think,
dumped their entire coaching staff again.
well, yes, they got a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator as well, but I think this will really kind of be like, okay, let's see what you got, Eagles. Are you going to be the first half Eagles from the first half of the season last year, or are you going to be the second half Eagles that we saw and get absolutely torched by Tampa Bay in the wild card round? Uh, and
Right.
I think that the Packers are a great test for them too because their offense is a very balanced offense. They do everything very precise, very consistent. Matt LaFleur, obviously, he knows what he's capable now with Jordan Love because Jordan Love really turned it on at the back half of the year last year. So he's going to put a lot of trust into him to still toss to young receivers, uh, such as Watson, Jalen Reed, and Romeo Dobbs. That trio is a very very young trio under Jordan Love, but honestly, that with their full capabilities, that may be one of the best trios in the league.
Up
Very
and coming.
balanced, very up and coming trios. Yeah, and that's the thing too is like the Packers, they have a lot of youth on their side, a lot of young players on the Packers ready to make a name for themselves. And there's one player that gets to make a debut in a Packers jersey, and that's Josh Jacobs, and he brings a whole different dynamic to the
He
Packers,
brings
where
an aggression to the backfield.
he brings an aggression to the backfield, and with the inconsistent injury to Aaron Jones in the last recent years in Green Bay, they need a running back where it's like you need to fear him every single game because that's going to
And
open up
AJ
a
Dillon.
passing.
Let's not forget
AJ
that. AJ
Dillon,
Dillon's now out for 6
did they
weeks.
cut him or is he injured? I thought he was
He got
sidelined a
injured. He's
little.
out for 6 weeks.
That's right. That's right. They do have AJ Dillon, and he is out for a little bit.
I think he tore his Achilles.
Man, that's always tough to hear. But there's a lot of good up and coming with the Packers. And I think that for the Eagles is like we know, like you said, we know the capabilities of the Eagles, right? But have they mastered fundamentals? That's a bigger question. And it's because like they really fell off last year because they fundamentally were just
Blew
getting
up.
beat, not only by themselves, but by the other team as well. Like they couldn't tackle
Right.
properly. Their playbook
They're
was so
missing blocks,
predictable
going off
that
sides,
that
penalties.
yeah, like their playbook was so predictable that Christian McCaffrey called a play on Monday Night Football when he was on the Manning cast, like
Right.
the exact play that they were running. And I think for the Eagles, it's like, look, Nick Sirianni. I think there's a lot of questions surrounding Nick Sirianni. I know he gets a lot of criticism, and I think this year would be a very telling year. Was the Super Bowl year was that just a flash in the pan, or can he consistently bring the Eagles like to the playoffs and win playoff games and put them in contention for the NFC? Because with this team, and they have the capabilities for it. Now their veteran leadership is gone because they don't have Jason Kelsey or Fletcher Cox.
Or
uh,
Fletcher. Right.
and those are irreplaceable holes to fill. Hall of Fame positions, a Hall of Fame center and a Hall of Fame D tackle. And you can't replace those guys and what those
No.
guys meant to the Eagles. But they're going to have to move on because, they may not play next year, but the Eagles certainly do. And they got to keep moving forward. They got to show us that are your fundamentals better than what they were last year? Are you executing at a higher level than you were last year? Because if they say yes and yes to both of those questions, then they can solely contend for the Super Bowl. This could be a Super Bowl contending team, and they should be in there. I think it's not going to be easy for them, but fundamentals, if you start with the small stuff, the big stuff becomes easy. And I'd like to see them display that Friday night primetime game in a different country.
Prove it.
I
Prove
want to see it.
yourselves.
And I think that there's going to be a lot of fireworks this game, and I'm really excited for it.
There should be some fireworks this game. I'm 100% excited as well. I love both the teams going into this year. Truly. I have a lot of high hopes for the Packers leading in from last year. I like Jordan Love. I knew he was a baller coming in. Waited, and here he is. Last year it was more the back end, but that was more or less when Matt LaFleur took the reins off and let him show what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it became more of like a freelance gig for a couple of weeks, just letting Jordan Love play, throw interceptions, throw touchdowns, gain yards. Just get it out of your system, and now let's go to work. And it worked.
Yeah, and I think the real big testimony to that was that Thanksgiving game against the Lions last year, because we
Yes,
knew exactly what the Lions were. An explosive team with a dominant running game and a ferocious defense. And they beat them 40, what was it, 43-14 or something like that. It was
right. Stomp them out.
it was very telling. And for the Packers, man, I just youth is on their side, and there's a lot of special times in the NFL history where teams or quarterbacks that have a second year starting tend to really outperform themselves. Um, Tom Brady, obviously, like his second year, he took off. Ben Roethlisberger's
Ben Roethlisberger.
his rookie year was really good, but then his second year, he won the Super Bowl.
Right.
so, so there's a lot of really good. What was it? Second year for Lamar, uh,
Unanimous
one
MVP.
one unanimous MVP. Second year for Mahomes, won a Super Bowl.
Super
there's
Bowl champion, right?
there's a lot of like in history, like year two is typically when we really get to see the full capabilities of these young quarterbacks. And I think that this is a great game to test both teams. And I hope for just our sake, this is not the only matchup we see of them this year. I hope that this is also a playoff
Hope this is a
matchup.
game in January. Oh my
Yeah.
god, if this is a game in January, it's a different level.
If this is a game in January in Lambeau Field, how fucking hot
Or
would that be?
Philadelphia.
Or Philadelphia? That would be
Oh,
both would be incredible. Both would be absolutely incredible.
that would be an unbelievable game. A playoff game. This is a playoff game week 1.
And it may play like that too.
Right. It's absolutely going to play like that because it's an opener in South America. Trying to help. They're putting two teams to go in and produce fireworks and try and promote the international league. These are the teams to do it. Absolutely. This is going to be a blue collar fist fight.
Yeah, and honestly, I think going forward, my last thoughts on this game. I think going forward, we're going to be seeing a lot more of the NFL in other countries because Roger Goodell, despite all that we gripe about him as commissioner, one thing I do have to hand it to him is that he is really looking to push the international market for football and really
He is
make it
growing the
appealing
league.
over there. And I think that that is a very admirable thing because we love, as fans, it's like we love the game of football. And we would love to share that love of the game of football with other people in other countries. And for them to be invested in us and for us to be invested in them, it's a very rich and rewarding cultural experience. And I hope that no matter who wins or loses this game, I hope the people of Brazil love this game and love these teams because of it.
Yes. My last thought, I just hope everyone is safe.
Mm-hmm.
Safety is everything. I hope, because again, soccer crowds can get pretty rowdy. They get rowdy, and it's nothing like football crowds have seen before. You've seen videos of things happening in the crowd. Let's leave that away. Let's leave that out of the stadium so we come back to Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah,
We want
absolutely.
the expansion and internationalism of this game. It's a great game. It's fun to watch. Everyone loves it in London. People loved it in Germany. We will probably wind up going back to Germany. Just be safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Man, what a great first game to talk about, CP. But you know how it is on the show. We like to talk about the good, and we also like to talk about the bad in
And the
full
ugly.
and the ugly. And let's move on to some of the ugly. Like I
And
want
the
to
ugly all in one.
I want to talk about the ugly, like the bad and the ugly all at one. Second game we want to talk about Vikings against the Giants.
You start this one.
Okay, now this is a. What do I mean by this is an ugly game? Because as I was telling CP off air, this is a tragedy of two teams, and it's a tragedy on two different levels. So what do I mean by Minnesota Vikings? Their offseason, I think that they have made the right decisions for a lot of things, extending Justin Jefferson, drafting a quarterback, a high-end prospect quarterback, kind of get that rebuild under Kevin O'Connell, reshape the defense. You get like sign key defensive players, and now you also get Aaron Jones at running back as well. So you kind of pair him up with Madison as your second running back, and that's good. That I really like that. But they have just been marred after tragedy after tragedy. I want to first start by saying their cornerback, fourth round cornerback Kyrie Jackson, and two others died in a fatal car accident earlier this summer. Um, Rest in peace, Kyrie Jackson, and the others in that in that crash. It's a tragedy to hear, taken so young, so soon. And unfortunately, like we see that very often in the NFL. A lot of young dudes just dying for car accidents or just what have you. It's very sad.
Be safe.
Yeah. So like again, everybody, please be safe. Next, I mean, I hope Jordan Addison gets that because he also had a DUI in this summer as well, and he will be playing this year, but like he has to undergo a lot of legal litigation as he should because he should not be drunk driving. That's off the field for the Vikings, and again, that's just for the Vikings. Just those two things. Now let's add an injury to that as well. Your cornerback Mekhi Blackman tore his ACL. He's out for the year. And oh yeah, your rookie quarterback JJ McCarthy torn meniscus out for the season.
Out for the year. Right.
So the whole trajectory of your season has completely changed. Where it's like, let's start because you know who's going to be starting this game against the Giants? Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is starting for the Vikings against the Giants. And you know who's starting for the Giants? Daniel Jones. And so what do I mean by it's a tragedy of two teams? Where, okay, that's the Vikings. The Giants, you lost Saquon. You lost Saquon. He was
let Saquon go.
He was the heart and soul.
You didn't lose him. You let him go.
Yep. He walked. And Giants fans, I'm so sorry for you because you lost the heart of your team. The heart of your fucking team. And now you only have Daniel Jones, who 2 years ago, everyone was saying he's a playoff quarterback. Now, it's general consensus, he's the worst quarterback in the league. And I'm not sure if he's the worst, but he's definitely bottom 5. I'll give him that. But you have Malik Neighbors, rookie wide receiver, right? But you didn't get any offensive linemen. You didn't get any linemen in the offseason.
Single offensive lineman.
You didn't draft any. You didn't sign any off free agency.
You lost a few.
But you didn't reload. You got Brian Burns, right? You know, he signed him, right? But you don't have a secondary. And I think
that Thibodeau.
You have Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah, their line will be solid, right? Their line will be solid, but their secondary is going to be absolute Swiss cheese back there, especially with no Julian Love either. Like he's in Seattle now, and so it's a tragedy of two teams. It's a tragedy for the Vikings because they made a lot of the right decisions, and they still have dealt with so much loss so far this year as an organization. And before week 1 even starts. And it's a tragedy for the Giants because their leadership in their offices, in their front offices, has failed them at every choice. They have made bad decisions year after year after year to where now you have a team that, in my opinion, is going to be very lucky to win 3 games this year. 4, maybe. You know what my dad says? Says, CP?
Oh, no.
It's like, what's the Giant win total this year? My dad's a Giants fan. He says 7 if we have Jones, 11 with Tommy Cutlets.
11 games?
They win 11 games with Tommy Cutlets.
He gave Tommy Cutlets a plus-minus of 4 games. Oh, my God.
Yes! I love you, Dad, but you must have been fucking high as fuck when you fucking said that shit. Actually, I know you
You are
weren't.
a
I actually know
gem.
you weren't, but which is fucking.
You are a
Oh,
gem,
man.
Mr. Halpin. You are a gem. Never change. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly when it comes to the Giants. Winning 3 games is going to be a lot. Again, we did our off-season recap. They were the closest thing to a failure when it comes to an off-season.
I did fail
You
them.
did.
Actually,
You failed them.
I did fail
You
them.
failed them, and it took me a lot to not fail them. There are more questions coming from the Giants than they are simply capable of having an answer to. First and foremost, how do you let Saquon Barkley? I listened to the phone call between Saquon Barkley and the manager. It came out.
I heard that too. Actually, yeah.
You openly said, "Go ahead and test the market." You opened the door for him to leave. Like you said, he is the pulse of your team. I don't care who the fuck you paid. Saquon Barkley put in the work. Notably put in the work. Got healthy, and he put in the work on the field, and he fucking led you guys to win games. He won in spite of Daniel Jones, and that is the truth. Daniel Jones regressed that team, and it showed when Tommy fucking what's his name went in.
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito. When he
His
went
last name
in,
is not Cutlets. Full disclaimer,
right,
but
it's
it is
Tommy
Tommy
DeVito.
DeVito.
So when Daniel Jones was off the field, that team felt better because Saquon Barkley was not being held by a leash. That team was much more relieved to have Daniel Jones off the field. But you cannot have him off the field because of how expensive he is. The buyer's remorse is bleeding through your skins right now because you made not a single move in the offseason that's going to help. You made one good draft pick all offseason. That is what you did. You drafted one wide receiver. Good for you. Enjoy your 2 wins. This week will not be one of them.
It's funny too because it's like Malik Neighbors. He was so excited to go to LA, and the Chargers pick him up, and the Chargers needed wide receivers, and they picked Joe Alt, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'm
He
going
saw it coming
to
from a distance.
I'm going to New York," and bro,
The
everything I see
look on
on
his face,
this man on social media, like he's phoning it in, bro. Like I don't
he's
blame him,
done.
but like you have a wide receiver that doesn't not even want to be there because of your quarterback. Um,
Literally.
and that's so upsetting, man. That like
It should be very
because
telling.
you want players to buy into your team and to buy into your system. And it's a team game. You want them to be a part of it, right? And like Mike Tomlin says all the time, we want people who want to be here.
Right.
We don't want people to half-ass it or anything like that. We want people who want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, there's the door. And he said that
Right.
to doesn't matter like who you are. If you don't want to be here, you can leave
He
anytime.
fucking said it to Antonio Brown after he was the best wide receiver in the league.
Yep.
You don't want to be here, don't be here.
Yep.
We have a job to do.
And that debacle, that's its own can of worms right there. But
Right, but
it's the principle.
principle.
Yes. And I think that for the Giants, man, look, Saquon didn't just leave. But CP, where did he go to?
Let him go to the fucking Eagles?
Your arch rival in your own
You let him.
division. He chose Philly. He could have went to any other team. He chose Philly because he said fuck New York and fuck
Right,
the
I'm going to
GM.
show you. I'm going to show you. You're going to learn.
And
Now you
so
have to play me twice here.
and now your heart is not only ripped out of your chest, but it also
About to get stuffed back down your throat.
yes. And it's the Giants. You're not doing yourself any favors, man. Like year after year, they've just had bad decisions, and I think that now this would have to be Daniel Jones' last year with the Giants. I would
Who's
guess
going to pick up that contract?
nobody. They may
No
just
one's
cut him.
desperate enough to pick up that contract.
They may just cut him and just eat that dead money. Maybe, but
Yeah,
we
but
don't.
that puts him,
I know. But hey, look. I mean,
purgatory.
the Broncos are paying. What was it $300 million to not play Russell Wilson?
You're not wrong, but there was issues between the coach and the player from the minute he walked in the door.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, but I understand what you're saying. Like, people have paid more to people have like to have players not play for them.
Yes.
I.e. Baker Mayfield on the Browns when he went to Tampa. Paid him to not play for the Browns.
Yeah. So it's for Giants fans. I've said it before. I said it last season. You guys deserve better and your front office is just not helping you guys, and it sucks because when the New York Giants are good, football is fun. It's fun here in New York, right? People get riled up, love to see the Giants, and now it's just pain. It's just pain. And now we have to hear what Jets fans about Aaron Rodgers this year, and that's its own can of worms that I don't want to dive
We're not going to
into.
walk down the Jets road yet. We're going to wait. We're going to wait.
Yeah, don't worry, Jets
We're going
fans.
to wait to
We're going to
address
talk about them.
Yeah, we'll get to you. You stay over there.
But they do have a very interesting week 1 against the 49ers on Monday Night Football. NFL schedule makers want to see the Jets in prime time. NFL schedule makers don't want to see the Giants in prime time. And why do the NFL schedule makers pick certain teams to star in certain primetime games? Because they want to draw the audience. The Giants are not drawing any audience. Like the Giants, they'll get their obligated Monday night game, their obligated Thursday night game, and then maybe one or two more, maybe one against Dallas because Dallas needs to booty thwomp someone and show up and put 40 points on the board and have people believe in the Dallas Cowboys again. Because that seems to be what the Giants are now. Is they're just a team that is just marred by loss year after year after year, and it's very ugly to see.
And it's from top to bottom, it's ugly to watch. And, I totally agree with you that both, like you said, it's a tragedy on two different sides. Like you look at the Vikings, they got rid of Kirk Cousins, and they immediately went back in and they invested, and they were like, okay, we got rid of him. We're going to fill. They put the effort in. They got rid of Stephon Diggs, immediately drafted a wide receiver. They got rid of Kirk Cousins, immediately drafted a quarterback. So they put the effort in to avoid tragedy. And again, off the field problems, and then injury happened. This offseason injuries was out of this world when it came to how many key players got hurt. And again, it's another year of tendon injuries, strains, pops. And it's like you're not seeing bones break anymore because you're seeing tendons snap. And I watched a video and someone was starting to explain it a little bit as to why it could be a thing. There's a lot of linear training when it comes to football, squats, bench press. There isn't much rotational training. So while you can go up and down with 600 pounds, you can't lean more than 60 pounds without snapping your ACL. You know what I mean? You can't put more than 60 pounds of resistance going one way or another, and that could lead to a strain or hypertension or so forth. So maybe the training methods need to adapt to what's going on. You're no longer playing on a grass field, so you can no longer do the things you were able to do on a grass field. So you have to be stronger in certain areas of the body to be able to adapt and not become injured. So maybe going to the drawing board and looking at training exercises for rotational strength at the knees, the elbows, the ankles. Do things that way. That's just an idea of mine. But that can avoid the implosion that happened on the Vikings and everything else that happened this preseason. And then you flip over to the Giants where they have put no effort in years. And it shows. It shows. They put very little effort in. They drafted Daniel Jones. They saw a flicker of something at the end, maybe 2 games into his rookie year. They were like, oh, he could be a playoff quarterback. But it was, again, nothing too fancy, and he's done nothing since. He can barely win games. He's a problem on the team. You can tell people are having problems with how he throws the ball. He's inaccurate. He underthrows, overthrows. It's always somewhere else. And then you get rid of your pulse. So this is all self-inflicted for the Giants and the Vikings. It's a tragedy that you can't even control.
Yeah. And that's the sad part about it, man. That's what makes it part of the ugly side of the NFL. I do like your point about rotational training. I think the league should really look into that more because that makes a lot of sense.
You know what I
Um,
mean? Like
oh,
when it comes to
absolutely.
linear
Yeah.
strength, people are freaks of nature. You know,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
seeing Nick Chubb come back from an ACL injury squatting 800 pounds. But how far can he lean?
Well, that's also one thing that separated Tom Brady, was like he like did pliability, like he really like
Right. He did
stretched out his
yoga, so
muscle.
he's
Yeah.
able to stretch out his hamstrings. He's incredibly flexible.
Yep.
Flexibility and rotation is enormous. You know, you look at some of the greatest players of all time. Speaking of the Giants, you look at Michael Strahan, all-time D tackle, bull rush man. He was more flexible than most people you could talk about. He
Absolutely.
did he did dance in the off season to stay nimble.
Yep.
So there's reasons for why people do things to stay flexible and stay ready. There needs to be an input of more flexibility, I think, when it comes to these turf fields now.
There should be, and I hope the NFL does consider that, but we're not a part of the NFL, so
Right.
it's hard.
it was just a thought.
It's just a thought, but it would be a nice thought to care for the players that make your product great.
Make your hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
I know, man. Oh man. So, Chris Palmer, we still have two other games that we need to talk about.
Fine by me.
There's so much to talk about, man. There's so much. Let's move on to the third game that we wanted to talk about, and that is the Titans and the Bears. And Chris Palmer, I'll start you off with this one because I know you wanted to talk about this one.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this one. And here's the thing. Everyone knows what I was saying going into this year without Caleb Williams. My eye is going to be on him this year. I'm going to watch him diligently. He has to make a fan out of me for me to backtrack anything that I said about this preseason. I'm unimpressed. Truly, I'm unimpressed. He had a couple of good plays. He looks like an athletic quarterback. You need to be athletic to play in the pros. I'm sorry, you could. Athletic, strong arm can run fast. That's 98% of the quarterbacks in this league. You need to show me something that will make a believer out of me that you are going to elevate the Chicago team. Like your ego is telling yourself that you're going because your ego bothers me. Caleb Williams, his ego bothers me. um, but the Bears did invest immensely in the offense, so he does have the proper room to succeed. I think the Bears, given that Caleb Williams is a proper fit and he has an it factor, it will not be this year. Give it time and they will become playoff potentials. I won't even put them at contenders because of the barn fire that has been Chicago forever. It is going to take a lot. We saw it in Detroit. Detroit's the anomaly. It takes a long time to go from that bad to that good and stay that good. The Bears have a lot of work to do, and I hope that Caleb Williams is as good as he says he is, as good as they're trying to promote him. When it comes to the Titans, huge mental blow losing Derrick Henry. That is your captain. That is the man who has helped you guys. That's the man who helped you beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. Let's remember that one.
I remember that one. I do remember that one.
Let's remember that one for a second. That's the man who brought in 2,000 rushing yards. He was your anchor. The first year of a no Derrick Henry era Titans. And now they don't have a power running back. They've had one pretty consistently throughout their history. They don't have one right now. You know, they had Eddie George, they had Jamal Charles. Then they had Derrick Henry. Now they have no
I
one.
wouldn't say
The
no
10.
one.
Who's their running back right now?
Tony Pollard.
He needs a second person.
He does, and I think that he alone, like he has some very big shoes to fill, but um, and I don't think he'll fill them. But he is, I would say, an above average running back. But he's not
Yeah,
Derrick
I'll give
Henry
him.
though. He's not Derrick Henry,
No,
obviously.
no. What I'm saying is the Titans have consistently had a one running back general,
Mhm.
and they don't have that anymore. Now
Right.
they need to adapt to the two running back scheme because of who they and that's going to be new to watch coming from the Titans. You have no franchise quarterback. You have a running back number one who needs a running back number two. You have no star receiver. You have no star on defense. I see a huge fall coming from the Titans.
Man, I do agree with you that the Titans are going to fall off, but let me start by this. What are the expectations for the Tennessee Titans this year?
I don't think there's much because there weren't many last year.
Right, exactly.
You know,
And that's the thing too, is like, okay, so your expectations this year, like you're starting Will Levis for a full year. It's like, okay, let's see what he's got for a full year. Um, a name that let's not forget, and we're going to be hearing very frequently this year, Brian Callahan, their new head coach. No
right,
longer Mike Vrabel. Like Mike Vrabel, he he elevated the Titans from mediocrity to contending team for years.
right.
And
For
even if they
years,
weren't contending, they were a fierce team, a physical
they
team.
were hard to play. Right.
They were really hard to play. Now it's like, okay, this is a completely brand new look Titans, new era Titans. What are the expectations? And honestly, I don't think there are any. I really don't think there
I
are
don't think
any.
there's
It's more
much.
like, don't shit the bed. Don't get embarrassed. You'll be fine.
Don't play worse than you did.
I don't expect they'll win games, right? You know, they will win games. I don't think that they're going to be contending for their own division because I think that the Colts are probably a little bit better than them. The Texans and the Jags are definitely better than the Titans. um, however, the Titans made a lot of interesting offseason moves where they um, surprisingly went for like a win now mode. Like they got L'Jarius Sneed, they got a couple defensive positions, they got drafted offensive linemen, got Tony Pollard now splitting touches with Tajay Spears. You still got D Hop and Traylon Burks. It's like you kind of they're trying to go for a win now approach, but it's like it's kind of a soft rebuild. And I think that that's what it should be. Let's be honest with ourselves, where it's like our expectations for the Titans are low. We don't expect them to win much, and when they do, no one's. It's going to be irrelevant. It's not going to matter for the
Right.
playoff
It's like good for you
implication.
guys, but
But maybe
right,
unless it's like for against their own division, like if they take a game away from the Texans or they take a game away from the Jags or something like that,
right.
right?
That
They
hurts
can play.
them more than it helps the Titans.
They're probably going to play spoiler if I really had
Right.
for it. Which honestly I think is fine because I think that if any player exceeds the expectations brought upon that, I think that they will really shine. Like if Will Levis comes out and throws for 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, like holy shit, you got something here. Like,
Like you got a quarterback that can help.
it's like you got something here, and a passing scheme offense by Brian Callahan, who was the former offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's like, okay, let's see what you got, right? Let's just see what you got. And I want to flip it again. Expectations. What are the expectations for the Chicago Bears?
Way too high.
There are some NFL pundits out there that think the Bears can make it to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl this year
On a rookie year.
with a rookie quarterback. Has never happened before, like a rookie quarterback starting and winning that Super Bowl. Has never happened. And I don't think that will happen this year. I think, honestly, the expectations that we set on the Titans should be the same expectations we set on the Bears. Because the Bears, unlike the Titans, have been marred in mediocrity for the last couple years, or below mediocrity for the last couple years. Titans have been to an AFC title game 5 years ago. Like,
Right. It wasn't that long ago.
It was not that long ago. The Bears have 5 years ago, they had Mitchell Trubisky, and they had the double doink. That was
And Paxton Lynch.
yeah. That was the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. No, you're right.
You're
I think I think he did
Paxton
make.
Lynch was on the Bears.
He was on the Bears, yeah, after his stint with the Broncos, right? Like they quarterback has been a revolving carousel for the Bears for the last couple of years. And now that they finally draft one at the first overall pick, they have their expectations for Caleb Williams are just through the roof, like absolutely through the roof. And I think that they're unrealistic expectations. I think
So
that
out of this world.
the expectations that we have for the Bears should be the same as for the Titans. Let's see what you got. Let's see what Caleb Williams like. Let's see how this investment in the offense pays off. And what do we mean by investment in the offense? They get stud wide receiver Keenan Allen from the Chargers, DJ Moore from the Bears, from Carolina. You get DeAndre Swift from the Eagles. I know you said Tariq Cohen was. I know he's not a Bear, but like I always think he's a Bear. I know he's no longer on the team anymore. He retired. But defensively, they did pick it up defensively last year. I know you were saying that there's a little something special there with the Bears. I didn't really see anything special with the Bears. I do, because last year's team is going to be very different than this year's team. This year's team is, I think, going to be, again, more offensively driven and offensively heavy than defensively. And I think that this team will go as far as Caleb Williams takes it, but I don't think he's a playoff. I don't think he brings the Bears to the playoffs.
Not right now.
I don't think they get double-digit win season. Maybe year two,
No.
maybe. I think that 7 wins seems like 6-7 wins seems very reasonable for the Bears, and I think 6-7 wins kind of seems reasonable for the Titans too. And I don't think that for the Bears, there's so many, much like with so many other teams that we've talked about this year, there's just so many question marks with the Bears. It looks great on paper, but we've seen that time and time again, year after year, that a team looks great on paper and then just underperforms, or not only underperforms, realistically performs to their capability the year of. You remember a couple years ago, CP, where the Browns were the heavy favorites for the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
When OBJ first came there? You remember that?
Yep. Yes, I do.
On paper, it looked, they were like, no, Baker Mayfield, year 2. You get OBJ with them. He's a stud. David Njoku, all that stuff. And what the Browns do that year? They won
7 games.
7 games or so.
Something like that.
And honestly, that's very realistic for them that year. And that's the thing, though, with the Bears and the Titans. Believe me, I want to see this game because there's so many young players that I'm like, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got.
Let it rip.
And it's like, I do strongly believe that now the names floating around in the NFL ether of Caleb Williams, the name Matt Eberflus is not floating around, and I think that by the end of the year, he's going to be, if the Bears underperform this year to the unrealistic expectations set by the media and by Caleb Williams, then Matt Eberflus is going to be the scapegoat in this.
Yeah. He's going to become the most hated man in Chicago.
His name has never been said, and I just want to just put this on record because by the end of this year, we're going to be hearing the name Matt Eberflus very frequently, and like people want his
fired be in the same sentence.
Yes.
Real quick.
Yes. And
real quick.
So that's the thing too. Is like, and believe me, I don't think Matt Eberflus is the right coach for the job. If they want to invest in the offense, get an offensive driven coach. There's one coach that I would recommend for the Bears specifically. Eric Bieniemy would be a great fucking fit in Chicago, but what do I know? I'm just a fucking silly Ravens fan.
We've been trying to get Eric Bieniemy a head coaching job forever.
I'm just saying, like, if the Bears want to invest in an offense, why not go for the OC for the Chiefs fucking dynasty?
Offer him a job.
Just kills me, man.
Someone offer Eric Bieniemy a head coaching job, please.
I know, please, for the love of God. But man, expectations, same expectations we have for the Titans. I'm putting the same expectations right for the Bears. Simple as that. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you guys
See,
can do.
I want the Bears to do good. I always want the Bears to do good. It's just
Mhm.
the the stigma that he brings into the locker room is not what you remember the Bears as. The Bears are a blue collar. The idea of a blue collar football team, and here comes Caleb Williams, who's really he, glam. Glam is his label.
He
He
does
is
paint his
about that
nails and
life.
he does wear makeup. Just for those who are
You know,
unaware.
no judgment, do what you do, but that does not seem to fit the culture of Chicago. We spoke a lot last year about fitting into the culture. The culture of Chicago is hard-nosed football, and you need to show that you can play. And I feel like the expectations are way too high. You have to bring it down, and you just got to see if you can win us a couple games. Win us a couple games, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then honestly, it's like because it's like even after what was it our boy T, he has a rule. It's like give me 2 years, two full years, and then I can get a full judgment on you. And I think that for the Titans, it's like look realistically, you got a couple games out of Will Levis last year. Let's see what he does for a full starting job. Let's give him
Right.
that first full year. Caleb Williams, obviously fresh out the box, fresh out of college, and his college stats. I was looking at his college stats. His stats are pretty nice from his second and third year at when he played in USC. Very nice stats. However, a lot of that is without context. It's without like the teams that he played against. And I know for a fact USC did not win a bowl
No,
that either of those
they
years. So
didn't.
it's like obviously as great of the stats did, it didn't result in winning.
Major victories.
Exactly. So
You know,
I think for Chicago, I think honestly their expectation is beyond just winning games. I think what they want to do is they want to end the stigma of them not being the only team to have a quarterback not throw for 30 touchdowns a season.
right.
I think that they want to just kind of drudge out of their ineptitude of historical.
They want to force themselves out of historically bad,
Yes, exactly. And it's like
and this
this
is going to
guy's it.
sink them
This guy's
deeper.
it. And it's like he could be, but we got
We
to
said the
see.
same thing about Mitch Trubisky.
Exactly. And it turns
We said
out
the
the
same
person who
thing.
was drafted a couple picks behind him, uh, they should have picked him. But Bears always drafted Mitch Trubisky before Patrick Mahomes. That will always burn in Bears memories.
That'll always be an imprint.
But man, I hope the Titans and the Bears. I hope they have fun seasons because also consider this too. Again, like we said before, Titans in a pretty tough division against the Jags and the Texans and the Colts. Bears, you're against the Vikings, but the Lions and the Packers. And you and I picked both the Lions and the Packers to make it to the Super Bowl. So
Right.
so good luck, Chicago. Just have fun this year.
Good luck, Chicago.
Just have fun and be safe.
Right. Don't get hurt. Don't do yourselves too bad.
If the Bears go on a winning streak, I promise you, like grown men in Chicago will be wearing nail polish because of Caleb Williams.
Oh my god.
You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know it's
Yeah.
you
There's
know.
gonna be a wave. There's gonna be a wave of people who start putting like letters on their fingernails, and it's gonna happen.
And if they
You
go on
said
a
it.
losing streak, they're gonna
They're
absolutely
gonna start burning jerseys.
they're gonna vandalize a Sephora. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You know it's gonna be true.
Fun.
That's my bold prediction. Sephora is gonna get trashed by the people of Chicago. That's my bold prediction.
How bold that is either, but
That's not that
we're
bold.
not gonna walk down that road.
Oh shit. CP, any final thoughts on this game?
This game just has a lot to be desired. So I'm hoping to see things out of both teams that will show an idea towards progression.
Mhm.
That's why I more so wanted to watch these teams. Both of these teams should go in with a clean slate. It's all
A-
fresh and new.
Absolutely.
Go
100%.
in and just play. Play your game, and it should turn. If they both do that, it should turn into a fun game. Evenly matched, clean slate. You have nothing to lose, either of you.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh man. What a great game. But I'm looking at the next game that we want to talk about. And honestly, this could
This
be
is a
game of the week.
heavyweight fight.
This could be game of the week right here. And it's not even a primetime game. So the last game Chris Paul and I were going to be discussing today is the Texans and the Colts. Division rivalry, man. Ooh. So Chris Paul, I'll have you start us off with this one, man. Like this.
I
What a
love
game.
this game. I
You
love this
picked it.
game. I love this game. I love this game because Houston, again, they're another team that put a lot of effort into making last year bleed into this year and get better. They had a great team last year. They made a lot of great moves that made them stronger. The one move that I'm kind of hesitant about is actually that Stephon Diggs pickup.
Mhm.
I don't know how I actually feel about it. There's been stories that come out that he is actually a trouble in the locker room. I hope that doesn't turn into a cancerous situation on the sidelines.
Mhm.
But gonna be positive, he is an outstanding wide receiver. Um, I hope he really brings an impact to Houston. What I'm more excited for is the return of Anthony Richardson. He went down last year, for those who don't know. He went down with a concussion early on in the year, and he was out for the rest of the year. He was concussed pretty bad. He had the entire year off. He had a great camp. He put on about 20 pounds of muscle, and he said he's ready to go. I'm excited to see him play inside Indianapolis. That this is going to be a heavyweight fight.
Yeah, man. This is going to be great too. We saw how electrifying CJ Stroud was last year. He was extremely accurate, decisive. Just he established himself in the heart of Houston, saying, "I am here and I'm ready to contend." He brought them to a divisional round against the Ravens on his rookie year. That is so impressive, man. They
And
had
win
a
10 rounds with Lamar.
10 rounds with Lamar. I mean, for the first half, yes. The second half, it was all just Ravens. But I mean, CJ Stroud was phenomenal throughout the whole year last year. Um, and Anthony Richardson was on the same trajectory, where it's like he he only played 4 games last year, but he had a rushing touchdown in every single game that he was in, and he really made Colts games worth watching. Those first 4 games, it's like, okay, much like with Will Levis, like let's give him the full year. And it seems that the Colts have really, him and the Colts have really discussed about their future. Like they really want to invest in him, and I think that's such a great move because it's like, okay, we want you to be safe. Can you put on some muscle? Can you kind of protect yourself a little bit? Okay, and we'll try to help you with that as well. We're going to try to help you, get all the pieces that you need. They still have a good offensive line. They have good, some good wide receivers. They could really use a little bit more wide receivers. Their running back, they still have, was it Jonathan Taylor at running back?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and so like they still have some good players, right? They had a backup running back last year do some really good shit. I forget his name offhand, um, but he was pretty explosive for them. Um, Nevertheless, these two, it's funny because when teams draft quarterbacks in the first round, not all of them hit, right? These two were drafted in the same round last year. They were both rookies last year, and until one of them leaves their respective teams, their careers will be intertwined with one another. And the
Right.
Colts and Texans, this will be, if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy and as explosive as he was last year, I think this could be a very good rivalry. Now,
This could turn into an unbelievable run.
but the thing is, there's big ifs in front of in front of the Texans and the Colts. If CJ Stroud repeats what he did last year with the personnel additions that the Texans made, the Texans can go very far. But that's if he performs like he did last year. There are such things in the NFL, so-called sophomore slumps. It happens.
It
It does
happens.
happen. As much as we've talked about, like year 2 is very special for some players. Those are typically the Hall of Fame guys. The more than often, People kind of
There's a
regress their
regression.
second, but it's completely forgivable too. If Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, it gives the Colts a chance of contending for a wild card. If he stays healthy, that's a big if.
Right.
My big concern is on the other side of the ball for the Colts. Their defense, did they clean up their defense? Did they make the right moves personnel-wise on defense? Because last year, if you remember, like they had a great offense, but by the end of the year, I was telling you that they gave up, on average, 28 points a game.
Right.
So their defense, they also picked up the first defensive player in the draft because Atlanta drafted Michael Penix with Latu. I probably butchered his name. Latu, I'll just call him. He was the first defensive player picked, and he was picked by the Colts. He's an edge rusher. So he gets his debut, and I'm very interested to see why the Colts chose him to be the first defensive player off the board. They do have a very nice cornerback. I'm forgetting his name offhand, but I do remember last year against the Panthers, he had 2 pick sixes that game against the Panthers last year.
Juju Brents.
Is that his name?
Juju Brents, Dallas Flowers, and Amir Speed.
Those are the active cornerbacks?
Those are the cornerbacks. Active cornerbacks, yeah.
Okay, there might have been someone else I'm thinking of, but
Jalen Jones.
Might have been Jalen Jones actually, maybe.
Looking at the defensive depth chart, they have DeForest Buckner.
They do, yes.
Tackle.
Yes.
EJ Speed, Jay Franklin, Sagan Alubi, Juju Brents, Dallas Flowers, Amir Speed, and Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore, that's who it is.
The nickelback.
Yes, Kenny Moore, that's who it is.
Okay.
Yes. So, did the Colts make the right choices to cater to their greatest weakness? And I hope that they did, because the Texans' offense looks to be loaded.
Right.
They look absolutely explosive from their running game to their passing game. And then also their defense really tightened up last year.
Right.
So this is going to be a great test for both teams. But man, anything can happen. Divisional games. You and I both know this very well. Divisional games, you start this off week 1, it's not going to be the same teams that play a couple weeks later. And
absolutely not.
Am I excited for this match, because this is going to be a full four-quarter game, and I'm so excited for this matchup.
And I seriously hope this is foreshadowing for the future between these two teams.
I hope so too, man. Like, because again, when the Colts are good, football's good, right?
It's good for football.
It's great. It's good for football, right? When the Texans are good, something special, man. Like that's you don't see that very frequently.
TV. That's still new TV.
Texans are 22 years old as an NFL franchise.
Youngest franchise. They're the babies.
They're the babies, baby. They're the baby expansion team. So, oh man, Chris Palm, any final thoughts on this game?
Just gear up, because this one could have some fireworks. This one's a heavyweight fight. Totally. This is my favorite game that we spoke about this week.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, Chris Palm, I have a question to ask you, mate. Are you ready to make some picks?
Oh my God. Here we go. Week 1.
Here we go, baby. So week 1, this is who you got, baby. Who you got. Starting with the first game of the season, the Baltimore Ravens coming to the Kansas City Chiefs. Who you got?
You got to give me the Chiefs, man. 90% win percentage in September. They don't lose in September.
Mm-hmm.
We figured that one out last year.
Even though they did lose to the Lions week 1.
They did, which is crazy. But once is an anomaly, twice is a pattern. So, and also at 90%, not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But they are lethal in September.
Yes, absolutely.
I cannot see them losing week 1 at home.
Man, I'm taking the Chiefs too. As much as it breaks my heart, and as much as I want the Ravens to win, they have yet to prove to me that they can beat the Chiefs. And until shown otherwise, I'm giving the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt. So with that, I will pick the Chiefs to win, and I will hope that I am wrong.
Right.
But I'll give it to them. Friday night football, Green Bay Packers versus Philadelphia Eagles. First game we talked about. Chris Palmer, who you got?
Give me the pack, man. For
Oh,
love.
I like it. I like it, my friend. I'm gonna go the Eagles, man. I think Philly takes a step in the right direction. I know I took literally both games against my Super Bowl picks week one, but so be it. Um, I liked a lot of what the Eagles did this offseason, despite losing Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox,
And the two
both to retirement.
coaches.
Yeah, and their two coaches, but I think they replaced him with Vic Fangio was a great pick, and Kellen Moore was another great pick. Devin White too as an Eagle. Woo! Hell yeah, give me the
Devin White
Eagles.
dynasty.
He's so
All right.
nasty. Um, let's move back to the states. The Carolina Panthers versus the New Orleans Saints.
Give me the
I'm
Saints.
I'm gonna take the Saints too on this one. If the Panthers are what they are last year, then I'll just
They
take
got
the
the
Saints
first
by
overall
default.
this year.
Yeah. That's Carolina. You're in for a rough year this year.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. Okay. Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants. Who you got?
Give me the Vikings. Giants are not winning this game.
I'll take the Vikings. I don't like Sam Darnold starting it, but like he's surrounded by a lot of really good players. So
And the defense is still solid.
the defense is solid. Yeah. So I'll take the
Solid
Vikings
enough.
too. Yeah, they'll be good enough. um, let's move on to Cincinnati and New England. In Cincinnati, who you got?
Give me Cincinnati. Although, you're going to give me Cincinnati. Although, remember, there are still under the table possible brewing situations between Jamar Chase and the front office. He wants to be paid, and they're not paying him.
I know all this money that the NFL just needs to give to players. Oh my god.
Right.
It's like they're $1 billion enterprise or something like that, man. Man. I'm taking Cincinnati too. I think they're just the better team than New England, than the Patriots.
New England has a lot of work, too.
Yes, absolutely. Let's move down to Atlanta. Your Steelers play the Atlanta Falcons on the road. Who you got?
Got to go with Pittsburgh week one because they were my team.
I respect it, mate. I respect it. I mean, I can't blame you. Um, give me Pittsburgh as well. I'll take the Steelers. You know what it is too is like I don't think Atlanta made the moves to bolster up their defense. Offense, sure, Kirk Cousins is coming off that injury. Maybe he does good, but against that Steelers defense, against TJ Watt, man, that's tough. That's a tough week
Right.
one to come back fresh off injury. Man,
The
that's
full core, too, man. It's not just TJ Watt. That whole core is just a
yeah.
bunch of studs.
Like Kirk Cousins is coming back from injury, and he's going to get punished. And I feel for him, so I'm taking the Steelers too. Again, big question marks on that offense, but we shall see. We shall see.
We shall see.
The Texans and the Colts, baby. I'm taking Houston. I think the Texans will come out winner, but I don't think it will be a close. I don't think it will be a blowout. I think it will be a very close game.
Give me the Colts.
Ooh,
I think the Colts are going to pull a week one upset, and they're going to birth this rivalry.
Ooh, I like my friend.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think the Colts are going to birth this rivalry this week.
I like this. I like it.
Colts come out, smack them in the teeth, and then next week you see a real throwdown.
Man, that sounds good. Let's move on to Buffalo and Arizona, man. Who you got?
I mean, Buffalo. I don't see Buffalo being the team they were last year, but Arizona did not do much in the offseason from their dumpster fire of a season the year before. So they're still in shambles. The Bills are just a more well put together team than Arizona, so they should have no.
I'm gonna take Arizona actually on this one as for an upset. although I do agree with you that Buffalo is the better team, they got rid of a lot of guys, man. A lot of core
You're not wrong.
guys. Um, but I think Arizona, they're scrappy, especially early on in the season. They're not a
They
good.
do like to fight.
They do the fight early on in the season, and then they kind of fall
Mhm.
off. Once after the new
Yeah,
Call of Duty comes out,
that's what I'm saying. We did that math. It's right till about October when the Call of Duty drops, and then Kyler Murray goes back to his stream.
Black Ops 6 comes out. So like, I think now
Oh, the
he's focused.
Cardinals are fucked.
Oh, they're so fucked. I'll take Arizona on an upset against Buffalo week 1.
Okay,
Um, okay, let's move on to Tennessee and Chicago, baby. Who you got?
give me the Titans.
Ooh, I
You
like.
got to give me the Titans. Again, I feel like they are the better put together team because they have at least been field tested.
Mhm.
May have only been a couple of games, but they were still testing done in the field with you. Everything is unseen in Chicago
Yeah,
when it comes to their offense. That defense has been seen. I like seeing that defense. I want to see more of it. Titans, I feel they have more ground underneath them as a team
Mhm.
together. So I think the Titans are going to win, but this is going to be a very low scoring affair.
Yeah. I see the same, but I see it Chicago coming out on top. I'm taking the Bears. Same thing too. It's going to be very low scoring. Just teams just trying to, I guess, find stable grounding with their quarterbacks. Just kind of, out of the fridge and into the frying pan, as they say.
Hmm.
I guess I don't know that quote, but um, okay. Let's move on to the Battle of Florida, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Miami Dolphins. Who you
In
got?
Miami,
This
right?
in Miami, yes.
Give me Miami. I like
Ha-
Miami's offense more than I like Jacksonville's defense.
mhm.
Gonna be keeping an eye on Trevor Lawrence this year too. I feel like this is a proving year for him. He has to prove himself.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm gonna take Miami as well. Miami week 1, they came out explosive last year in a shootout against the Chargers. Now this is in Miami, summertime. They're gonna be wearing their
It's
white
hot.
jerseys just the way they like it. I'm taking Miami. Um, let's move all the way from South Beach to the Northwest in Seattle, where the Denver Broncos take on the Seattle Seahawks. Chris Palmer, who you got?
Give me Denver, man. I want to see Bo Nix out the gate. I want to see him. He's well constructed as a quarterback. He is going to bring the Broncos places.
I like it, man. I'm so torn on this one. I'm gonna go Seattle on this one. I have so many questions about the Broncos offense, but I kind of have an expectation of Seattle's defense. I think their defense is going to be a little bit better this year, especially under new head coach Mike McDonald. Um,
Okay.
and I've liked their personnel for a while, but I'll take Seattle. But I do want to see Bo. I want to be a Bo lever.
He's a good quarterback, dude.
Yes. Let's move on to the Raiders and the Chargers. Division rivalry game right out the gate in LA. Who you got?
The Chargers should have no problem beating the Ravens, right? I hope to God they develop a 2-minute game.
Under Jim Harbaugh? I certainly hope so.
I hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers as well. I just think that they're not the best, but I think they're definitely better than the Raiders.
At this point in time, yes.
Yeah. Let's move on to Cleveland, where the Dallas Cowboys come to Cleveland to play the Browns. So, Cowboys, Browns, who you got, CP?
Give me the Cowboys. I'll take the Cowboys. They usually beat teams that ultimately go sub 500, so they should beat the Browns no problem. Especially with the new signing of Dalvin Cook happened today. So, what's better than one post prime running back who is also injury prone? Two. Now you got two. Have fun.
Have fun with that. Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys as well. They just like to beat up on the bad teams, and I don't think Cleveland's a good team. Sorry, Cleveland. Um, okay, let's move on to the Washington Commanders against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Debut of Jalen Daniels for the Commanders.
Give me the Bucks. Give me the Bucks on that one. I like the matchup. I like the Bucks a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have their core players that just play together still.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the Bucks. Take the Bucks as well. Uh, Baker Mayfield found a home, and it's gonna be a lot more of the same. Mike Evans and him, they have a connection, man. That's a real connection right there between them. Um, Dan Quinn, it's gonna be a tall order for Dan Quinn, but he's been a head coach in this league before. Let's see his vision for Washington going forward this year. Okay. And that brings us to the Sunday night primetime game, the LA Rams versus the Detroit Lions. The wild
In
card matchup
Detroit.
last year in Detroit. Yes, we could have easily
Give me
talked this game.
Detroit.
You take it
Good.
Detroit, baby.
Gotta do it, man. Gotta do
Ooh.
it.
I like it, man. Oh, man, this is can go either way, really. Oh man. I'm
I want
taking
you to know the 12th man is in Detroit right now.
I know. I'm taking Detroit too. Uh I I'm so torn on this because I could see it go either way because of just how good these teams are. Detroit really believes, and honestly they should. And I can't remember the last time week 1 started with a primetime game in Detroit because like where people actually want to see the Lions play. And it's so great to see that too.
It's good
It
for football.
it's so good for football, and that crowd is going to be electric. Electric.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. Um, Final game: Monday Night Football. New York Jets versus the San Francisco.
Give me the 49ers. I'm not buying into the Jets' delirium. They are not going to win many games this year. I don't care about their offensive scheme. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't care about the game anymore. He sees the Hat Man from an ayahuasca trip that he took this offseason. Um, I'm not buying into it. Sorry.
I love it. I'm taking the 49ers too. Come on, we know what the 49ers are. We don't know what the Jets are. Maybe they got something. Probably not.
No, they don't. They don't.
Oh
So
man,
the Jets' delirium has begun.
the
It
Hat
is
Man.
not happening. You guys are not making the playoffs this year. It's not happening.
What did we talk about? Expectations.
All right, let's dumb it down to reality. Have your quarterback play a full quarter of football, and then we'll talk.
Oh man, so there you have it. Those are our week 1 picks for the 2024 season. Oh man, what a great episode, CP. We could have just kept on going and going and
I
going and
love
going.
it.
Oh shit. So CP, would you like to do the honors? Would you like to send us off?
Yeah. Well, there you have it, guys. Just please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Please, if you want to come on for an interview, message myself, John, or just write into the group, and we will schedule you guys in. Until next week, here we go. It is football season is officially underway, and we are here.